Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Jason.
And we are father.
And son.
And it's triple feature time once again.
Yes.
This time we are going to tackle 3 alien invasion / disaster films. We're going to do Independence Day, and then its lesser watched and lesser appreciated sequel, Independence Day Resurgence, 20 years after that, 1996 and 2016 respectively. And then we also decided to throw in Mars Attacks, which is a movie that watches like a parody of Independence Day, but if memory serves, they both came out the same year, and it could not have possibly been a parody of that, but it follows the same formula, and in my mind, Jason even kind of has, even though it's a farce, a better story. This is Jason's first time seeing Independence Day or Resurgence, but you have seen Mars Attacks before.
Yes, I have.
How much of Mars Attacks did you remember?
I remembered most of it.
I remember you always liked that movie.
Yeah.
Did you remember that it had as much of an all-star, star-studded cast as it has?
No, I didn't remember that.
So we'll get into that when we get there. Why don't we go ahead and do the 2 Independence Days first and then rush over to Mars Attacks? Is that cool?
Okay.
And
yeah.
I'm going to let Jason run point now, and he's going to give us his first impressions of Independence Day, a movie that was a really big deal to me when it came out. This was a big cultural phenomenon, and it was a huge cinematic event. But of course, you're watching it without that perspective at all. So what was it like for you seeing Independence Day?
So, I don't like these movies. Both Independence Day movies are long and boring, and it just nothing happens. Like, it's just like in the sequel, it's just some guys in fighter planes fighting stuff. Like, not fighting stuff, but they're like shooting stuff and they're flying around, and I don't like that. And I don't even know what happens in the original because there's nothing that happens in that movie. So, like, it's just, it's boring and it's too long, and I don't even know how it's that long, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so I feel like some of that might have been a little bit hyperbolic. So I'm going to make you go back a little bit and try to explain a couple of things.
Okay.
When you say nothing happens, given that that's how you feel about it as you're watching, I realize that that's an experience. That's a feeling that you're having. Nothing's happening. Not literally nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Can you give us a plot synopsis for Independence Day? If there's as little meat in it, as you're saying, and I agree with you, in that 2.5 hours, I feel like in a couple of sentences you can give me the beginning, middle, and end of that movie. What's the framework of Independence Day?
So basically, there's these aliens, and like we see all these like ships around the sky. Tell me if I'm not mixing the Independence Day and Mars Attacks together.
Okay, sure.
But there's a whole bunch of UFOs in the sky, and then we find out that like they kept a ship like from the 50s, and
From the
like,
Roswell incident, 1947. Yeah.
Yeah, and like
And I'm sure
no
you've
one
heard
knew
of
about
I'm
it.
sure you've heard of Area 51 and Roswell and all that before, right?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Have you ever
And
seen the
then-
DS9 episode that deals with that?
No.
Little Green Men. There's an episode where the Ferengi go back in time and become the Roswell incident. It's not great, but it's kind of a funny premise.
And then I don't remember what happens after that.
Well, how do we ultimately beat the aliens?
We go in. It's kind of.
What is the thing
yeah.
that makes it so that we can drop their shields and destroy their ships? Because they seem impenetrable.
It's a virus.
It's a virus. There you go. It's a computer
so they
virus.
go in.
The big twist of the movie is computer virus, which kind of seems like, even in '96, I think seemed like kind of the obvious thing to do. And you got to remember that we'd already had a lot of Star Trek episodes and other science fiction things that deal with this kind of thing. And okay, real quick, I don't know if you know this, but Independence Day in a lot of ways is kind of a modern version of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. And War of the Worlds also ends with a virus, but it's a biological virus. It's not. It's just like the aliens get sick and die.
Oh, it's an actual virus.
Yeah, and that was turn of the century, and so we kind of updated it in Independence Day to be a computer virus.
Okay.
Which is played like I said, a big mind freak, like, wow, I never would have thought of that kind of thing, where everybody acts like they've never seen a computer before.
Yeah. And I feel like there's way too big of a cast, and
Yeah.
there's nothing to them, and I just
You think everybody's kind of wooden and one note?
and I can't keep up with everything.
Okay,
Like,
so name characters that you found remotely memorable. Even if you can't tell me their names, just name like 3 or 4 characters who is in this movie that you actually remember.
Oaken.
Well, who's that?
He's Brent Spiner.
That's the side. But part of the reason you're remembering him is just because he has a much larger role in the sequel, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you would have remembered him in the first movie because he's the most eccentric character.
Yeah.
He's got crazy hair. He's got a beard. He's excited about aliens. He's one of the only characters with anything like a personality.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the president guy,
Yep.
who's Lone Star in Spaceballs.
Yep. That's Bill Pullman. Very good.
I
What's his whole deal?
don't remember.
Do you remember his character arc? Everybody has a really one-note, easy, flimsy character arc in this movie. It's all real stock.
Everybody blends together. Like, is
So his thing is just that he is, that he's indecisive. His character arc is just becoming more decisive.
Oh, okay.
That's it. I have no more analysis to give you. That's his character arc.
Okay.
And Will Smith's character. What is Will Smith's character's name? Will Smith.
No, I don't remember what he's called because I didn't write about him.
We'll just
because there's nothing about him.
We'll just say that after Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith went to military school, and then he ended up, for a while, he was a man in black, and then he fought other aliens in Independence Day,
Yeah.
where nobody knew about the aliens, and he had to pretend like he wasn't an agent in Men in Black, and he like left or maybe he got flashy thingy.
Yeah.
And then he ended up, he's just fated to fight aliens forever.
Yeah.
I will say Agent J is maybe a more, fleshed out specific character and not just straight up Will Smith, but I mean, they're basically playing the same characters, right?
Yeah.
Stephen Hiller.
Oh, yeah.
How's his name? Everybody's got real memorable names in these movies.
But yeah, I feel like it would have been better if.
Oh, his character arc is commitment.
Yeah.
I have no more analysis. That's what his arc's about.
And then the Jeff Goldblum guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what his name is.
Oh, his name is David Levinson. Yes, that's his name.
And I think he's the guy who his wife was like stuck in the president building.
President building?
The White House.
So everybody's favorite part of Independence Day is when the ship goes over the president building and a big beam comes down and blows it up. That was in all the trailers. That's why everybody saw it. Everybody went, "Look, the president building got blown up."
But yeah, it's the White House.
The White House.
And he's like, "Hey, you gotta get out of the White House," and she's like, "No, I'm staying in the White House." And then that's his.
Oh, and his character arc is about taking risks.
Yes.
I have no more analysis. That's
yeah. No more analysis. But yeah, I feel like it would have been better if you just had a few characters, and they had some backstory or something.
And there was a little bit of backstory, but it's the most kind of predictable, obvious kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We have some forced character drama with the president and Jeff Goldblum's character, where they don't get along because of an argument they had in the past. And remember, he punches him out as soon as he walks into the president building. I'm never gonna let you live that down, by the way.
You punched the president?
You punched the president!
Dang it, I forgot to write that down in my favorite lines. All my favorite lines are from Mars Attacks, and I couldn't think of anything from Independence Day. But there's my favorite line from Independence Day.
There you go, you punched president. Oh, and you also have the the guy that everybody thinks is crazy that's ultimately vindicated because he lives in a trailer park and claimed that he was abducted by aliens, and then it turns out that he really was abducted by aliens. Or if he wasn't, he's just, crazy, but his crazy lines up with what is really going on, right? I say that, I don't think these aliens have ever been here before. So, but we'll find, I mean, not that sequels were planned or there was a mythology for this yet, but we find out later that there's other aliens in this, universe. So I guess he could have been abducted by... No, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. We did have a ship that crashed in 47. We knew about that. So he could have been kidnapped by those aliens, but I don't know that he was. It's actually, I like that they're ambiguous about that. But anyway, that guy's whole arc is just being, vindicated about the thing that everybody thought he was crazy about, and then he has the, real, kind of obvious self-sacrifice at the end, which is handled as well as it's gonna be in a thing like this. But and that actor's great.
Yeah.
You remember that guy?
No.
You don't remember that
guy? I can't see his face right now in my mind.
Oh, he was kind of like a hickish kind of character, and
yeah,
he gets in the
he
gets in the spaceship. He's like I'm a pilot. He's the drunk guy.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm a pilot. I'll go fly and fight the aliens because they kidnapped me when I was younger. Remember? That's really funny. You don't even remember that part.
No, I don't remember that.
Parts of the 2.5 hours where your eyes kind of glare. Why is this movie 2.5 hours long?
Yeah, why? I don't get it.
Now, to be fair, we did watch what should have been called, because it's like the start of the motion picture, it should have been called the special longer version, but we did watch the extended cut of this, and I don't know if I'd seen it before, because there wasn't anything that I saw where I went, oh, that looks like an added scene. Yeah. I don't know this movie super well. I don't go back to it all the time, but we did watch the longer version. But even 2:15 is too long for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's an added, I think, 15 minutes, and it would have been too long before that.
Well, I mean, there is way too big of a cast, but there is, like, it's a pretty good cast.
Well, yeah.
It's most of it is stuff that I know, or is people that I know.
Yeah, and there's some character actors that are beginning to get their start during this period. That if this isn't one of their first, if this isn't their first movie, it's one of their first movies. You got Natalie Portman in this movie, even before she's in episode 1, 3 years after this, and
she was in episode 1.
Well, yeah, that's Padme.
And
then of course she's in the Thor movies.
I was like, who is she? Oh yeah, Thor movie.
More recently, she's in a wonderful sci-fi horror film called. Kind of horror film, more thriller, I guess, called Annihilation. I think she's in that.
That's who I know her from. I was like,
or that's what you know her from.
I was like, I know this actor. Like, she reminds me of something. And I had that same thing with
Or wait,
President Dale.
Wait, am I conflating things? Okay. No, she's in Mars Attacks. Her and Jack Black both. That's Mars Attacks. That's not this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Nope. There's the president in this has a younger daughter than that, and then we see her grown up in the sequel. Natalie Portman is not in this movie.
Yeah, Natalie Portman.
Why did we have to watch these together?
Yeah, it was a bad idea.
Suddenly we're going to be like, James Bond was in this movie. No, he wasn't. He was in Mars Attacks.
Wait, James Bond was in Mars Attacks?
Yeah.
Wait, really?
The Goldeneye James Bond, yeah. And I don't think you've seen any of his movies, but...
Oh, I didn't even know that.
We'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah, when we get there. Let's go to Independence Day.
Pierce Brosnan.
Resurgence.
Well, let's talk just briefly a little bit more about this movie,
okay,
if we can.
Else.
I know you have more. I know you have more things to say about the sequel, and weirdly, there's kind of more going on in that movie. Even though I actually think it's even a lamer movie than Independence Day.
It is.
It is. I like the spectacle and the build-up with Independence Day, and I don't mean to contradict myself because I am still sticking to what I said. It is too long. There's not enough story meat for it to take as long as that. You could still do it in an hour and a half, but I think the first, I don't know, quarter to half is solid enough. I like that it is a slow build before we do finally see the landmarks blowing up and stuff like you're expecting. Like the giant ships over the city that is really ominous, and there's this wonderful looming presence. And I also like the idea of dealing with the different ways that people respond to, we know that there's aliens now. You know, some people immediately trust it because they want it to mean somehow world peace. And some people are really paranoid about it and don't trust the aliens. And like, I think it's somewhat realistic in the like mass exodus that happens with people like fleeing cities, and some people putting together groups that are almost cult-like in their, you know, near worship of the aliens and all of that. So some of the broader societal stuff we do, I like. It's like our main characters are mostly just kind of like dull as bricks, and I don't care. But the broader like social implications and like societal stuff, I actually kind of dig. I also think that for the most part, all the effects hold up really well in Independence Day.
Yeah.
It's a good looking movie.
It is.
They do a great job with all of the blending of CG and model work. I'm pretty sure is how they had to have done quite a bit of that. And the explosion in the White House, you saw in trailers over and over again, and it always looked great, and it made a lot of sense that it was as big as it was just based on that one effect. But yeah, my biggest complaint character-wise with that movie is that Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum have pretty good chemistry, and it should have been like a buddy cop sort of dynamic with them through more of the movie. Because once you put them together, now you've got personalities on screen, and it takes way too long before they're on screen together and your main characters palling around. We should have had that earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
And I think that would have won us over more on the character stuff.
Yeah.
I also think that that story is, real quick, built, because I've never really reviewed this movie before. I started on a Science Fiction Rewind 4 years ago, and I never ended up actually finishing that video and getting it made. But anyway, I think one of the biggest problems with that movie, story-wise, is just that it's built on a series of contrivances. It's preposterous, for instance, that Will Smith's girlfriend meets the president's wife. Just like randomly they wind up together. And the locations where people end up in this movie are also really convenient as well. Like, Will Smith just kind of shows up right next to Area 51, and then it's like, we need to go to Area 51. Oh, okay, we're right there. Like, it's way too easy where people happen to be when they just show up wherever they show up after horrible things happen to them. And then, later on, all these characters are going to converge back together. And there wasn't anything about set of relationship A that ended up creating set of relationships B. And so that kind of messes with your, suspension of disbelief. Jason's eyes are glazing over right now. He's like, I don't even want to talk about this movie anymore.
Yeah.
It was dull. I didn't really enjoy watching it that much.
Yeah.
What do you think was the coolest looking stuff in it? Because, I mean, I think at the end of the day, what that movie most has going for it is just the novelty of it and the spectacle of it. So it's all surface. What spectacle wise was fun in that movie for you? Or seeing it 25 years later or whatever, was it just kind of been there, done that? Because I think part of the problem for you might be you've seen a lot of alien invasion stories now. And this was supposed to be sort of, what if this really happened? And I don't know that really resonated with you that much.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I mean, I guess my favorite special effects were, like, just the aliens blowing up the White House and, like, the spaceships and, like, the aliens themselves. Like, we see them for, like, a second, but they're pretty well done.
A little longer than that. I mean, when you're in Area 51, you've got the one that's lying on the bed, and then later it grabs Brent Spiner. And I always like the design. The design's okay of these aliens.
Yeah.
Maybe a little generic, but and maybe pretty alien inspired, certainly.
Yeah.
We should mention, by the way, that we watched these with Jason's younger brother, who's 6, Freddie, and he adored them. He loved all 3 of these movies. Apparently Alien Invasion is just his bag.
Yeah.
I thought he would be bored to tears and would keep asking when the movie was over, because he does that. With things that are reasonably paced and not too long sometimes, even. 2.5 hours of Independence Day. He never once was like, can I get up?
Yeah.
I don't want to watch this anymore. Could you believe that?
No.
Should have had him here instead. He would have, I mean, not had a lot to say, but he would have been like, movie's great. Jason's just like, can we just move on to the next episode? Like, throw a better triple feature at me, Dad. Why did we end up doing this, by the way?
I have no idea. We're like, what movie do you want to watch? I don't know, something I haven't seen before.
You know what well, of course, yeah, we wanted to show you something you hadn't seen. You know what it was? I can't remember what the movie was, but we put in a DVD to watch something last week, and an ad for Independence Day showed up, and I was like, oh, Jason hasn't seen Independence Day. That's what it was. That's what made me think of it. If only we hadn't watched whatever that was, you would have gotten away scot-free without having to watch Independence Day at least for a while. You could have staved it off.
Yeah. So should we finally talk about Resurgence?
Well, yeah, sure. Let's talk about the 20-year later obligatory sequel.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, when I was a kid, I loved Independence Day so much, I tried to write the sequel.
Really?
I ever told you that? Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I wrote like a couple of chapters when I was like, I don't know, 11 or 12.
Did you give it to Tim Burton?
Why would I give it to Tim Burton? Hey, Tim Burton, you made Mars Attacks. Would you make the sequel to Independence Day?
I mean, not Tim Burton.
Roland Emmerich.
What?
Roland Emmerich made these movies.
Oh, who's that?
He's the guy who directed Independence Day and Independence
okay.
Day Resurgence and things like, I think, White House Down and
Who's that?
That's a movie like this where the White House blows up or things in the White House blow up, but it's not aliens, it's like terrorists and stuff.
Oh, cool.
But I'm sorry, the President Building. So tell us what your reaction was to Independence Day Resurgence. And you said you have more to say about this one.
I do. Well, it's a coincidence that it's Independence Day then.
Yeah, the aliens. So why do the aliens show up? Let's start there. Why do the aliens come back? You don't know.
Remember.
So I'm pretty sure this is retconned because I don't think there's anything at the end of Independence Day about this. But maybe I'm not remembering this right. But I'm pretty sure there's a few things in Resurgence where they kind of pretend like it was always there in the first movie, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. They do it like Regeneration in Enterprise, Jason, where it's like you remember in First Contact when the Borg sent a message to out to space to the Delta Quadrant to try to get the Borg to come back. Well, they try that again in Regeneration. That's what this is, where we say that they actually the aliens, not the Borg, the aliens managed to send a message, and it was going to take 20 years to get there. And I think the idea is we always knew it was going to take that long, and we've been kind of preparing for it.
Oh, okay.
Is the idea. And I guess it's Independence Day again because it was going to be precisely 20 years. And to the date, July 4th. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I would think if I was going to make an Independence Day sequel, I would start from the question of how do we make it not convenient that it's in Independence Day again. And Jason had a very clever way to get around that problem, which was...
Wait, what did you just say?
You had a clever way to get around the problem of how do you make it less convenient that it's Independence Day again. You said change the title.
Yeah, so I said that before I even watched this movie, I was like, well, the sequel, and because I didn't know that Resurgence happened. So
you didn't even know about the sequel?
Yeah. So I was like, well, the sequel would be a Memorial Day where everyone loses their memory because it's Memorial Day.
So you were gonna make it a cross between Groundhog Day and Independence Day? It's an alien invasion story where people no, it wouldn't be a time loop. You're saying what is that? Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. You're talking about that short-term memory loss movie from Christopher Nolan. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Oh, okay. I thought that's why you said that because it has because you said Memorial Day. I can't remember the name of it right now. But it's like that, and I thought that's why you said that. You've never seen that movie, but anyway.
I didn't even know.
Memento.
Memento.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, it's a movie made by Christopher Nolan about. It's one of his first movies.
Does it end with an O or an E?
Memento. It ends with an O. but it's about a guy who doesn't have any short-term memory, and he has to get to leave messages to himself by writing all over himself to do certain things because he can't remember what happened, like hours ago. And the movie is structured backwards. It's neat. It's really interesting.
That doesn't make any sense.
It would if you saw it. I don't think you're quite old enough to watch that yet, but
Oh.
maybe a couple 3 years or more. I'm not sure yet. But anyway, let's get into Resurgence.
Yeah, I said my first
It would be pretty funny though to have an alien invasion story that is. Well, I guess we kind of had that with that Tom Cruise movie that. It's not like the first alien invasion, but it is about fighting aliens. There's a Tom Cruise movie that's the cause and effect thing, the causality.
Isn't
thing.
he the Impossible Mission guy?
Rinse, die, repeat. That movie. Yes, that is the Impossible Mission guy. Absolutely
Is it
right.
Mission Impossible?
I derailed this completely because my brain fritzed out with your premise. I apologize. Go right
So
ahead.
that's Mission Impossible, right? Not Impossible Mission.
Oh, I thought you were just being silly.
No,
Yes, it's not
I
called
thought-
Impossible Mission.
Oh, it's called Mission Impossible. Okay. So.
Do the theme from Impossible Mission. Da-da-da! Da-da-da! Anyway.
So they go back to that speech a million times.
The big Bill Pullman speech.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably the best writing in the movie, but in that first movie. But yeah, they make a big. It's like we got one good piece of writing in this movie, and we're gonna milk it for all it's worth 20 years later. And now he's kind of lost his mind because he's got a telepathic connection to the aliens, and he's got this big beard and.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Because in real life, he has this big beard. Like.
In real life.
Yeah, he didn't shave it afterwards, and he didn't grow it, like. Because of the movie. He actually. That's the reason that he has the beard.
No,
is
it's
because,
not.
Yeah, it is.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
But then he shaves it in the movie. So you're saying Bill Pullman in real life had that beard for 20 years? Is that what you're saying?
Not for 20 years.
Is that what you're saying?
He,
What are you
but
saying?
he had that beard. I think he grew it back, though.
Oh, okay.
I think he grew it back afterwards, but he does have a beard. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, where else should we go talking about Resurgence?
Resurgence.
So no Will Smith.
Yeah, I was just about to talk
Who is
about
back?
it. Everyone except for Will Smith.
Well,
not that
nearly everyone.
Carlos guy and his family. He's not anywhere in the movie.
That's true. And the Will Smith's girlfriend / wife, because I guess they're supposed to get married later. She's there, but she's not played by Vivica A. Fox anymore, and she's there for 2 scenes to get killed.
Oh.
Sort of like Spock's mom in Star Trek 09. Except reversed, because that was an actress I've never seen before, and they got a major actress to just kill her off real quick in 09. Sorry, I'm derailing everything. Go ahead.
Okay.
I gotta pat out the podcast, just
Yeah.
like these movies have to pat themselves.
There's no reason why they couldn't bring Will Smith back.
Well, there is.
There is.
Yeah, they didn't want to pay him
Why?
because he wanted $50 million for 2 movies back to back,
What?
and they just weren't gonna do that. So they had.
No.
So they had contractual issues trying to bring him back. So that's why it didn't happen. Originally, Resurgence was going to be called Independence Day Forever, ID Forever, and which is weird because it is one day that happens in the year. And there were going to be 2 of them, and they were going to shoot them back to back. And then eventually that ended up not happening for whatever reason, and they changed it to 1 movie, hoping for a sequel. So this was supposed to, of course, be a franchise starter. You can tell by the ending. I've always thought that this movie watches like a pilot for an Independence Day TV series before it feels like an actual film.
Yeah.
In the way that it introduces all of its cast, and the setup for where we go at the end of it.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna go out into space and take the fight to them. That feels like a TV series.
So there's no way Oaken is running and jumping around after he just woke up from a 20-year-long coma. Like,
He's in a coma for 20 years, and then he wakes up because he also has a mental link with the aliens. And so when they show up, he wakes up.
yeah. So there's no, like, how does that even make any sense?
It doesn't.
Like, have you seen, like, do you know anything about science or, like, life or, like, how things work?
And Oaken that's Brent Spiner. You could tell that he was having a lot of fun and really excited to be in a big movie again, because it had been a while since he'd done anything like that. And he famously had a hard time getting, really good work after Next Generation. And he was an eccentric character for contrast in the first movie, and in the second movie, he's an absolute nutty cartoon character.
Yeah. I don't have anything else for Resurgence.
You said you had more to say about it. That's it? I mean, what did you think of any of the new characters?
They weren't good.
That's mine. I have no more analysis. So you got Will Smith's kid, because Will Smith can't be there. So the kid that we had, who was adorable in that first movie, is grown up now, 20 years later, and he is, of course, as you would expect, the big save the day fighter pilot. And to kind of parallel the animosity that the president and what's his face, David Levinson had in the first movie, he has to have that kind of animosity with who's that other guy? With another guy in this movie, right? You have the two fighter pilots, and they don't get along, and they also have the punch each other out thing.
Yeah.
You remember that? And then they kind of come to get along more as the movie goes along, and it's kind of just
first movie,
machismo at loggerheads, and kind of. But one thing I do appreciate, at least in some of the character dynamics, I mean, I don't think that the character stereotypes are necessarily as stock as they are in the first movie, at least some of them. I just think the writing is as bad or worse. There's some really bad writing, and it's kind of overwritten. The first movie has that too, I think, but there's just way too many people constantly talking in Resurgence, when I wish that it was just a little bit more action-driven, because that's what it's got. And even then, the action is often kind of boring, like you alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. But the nice thing is, it isn't like a lot of those reboots or decades later sequels where it is exactly the same story again. I like that the status quo has really changed. You're in a place now, like the setup for Resurgence, I like a lot, and that's why the movie was kind of disappointing. I think it should have been a TV show. I feel like Independence Day could have been the pilot for a revamped TV show in exactly the way Stargate was, where we build a really cool, interesting mythology for the aliens and other alien species in the Independence Day universe, and then you build some characters that are actually kind of compelling that we want to watch on a week-to-week basis, and then you make a TV show where now we've 20 years later come to peace as a world. And we found common ground, and we've used the technology that we got from the alien spacecrafts to improve our own. And we're ready for them to some degree to come back. And you've got all these potential really interesting, I don't know if you noticed them, Jason, really, really interesting details about the aliens now, and about the culture and the society 20 years later. All of the stuff about like the hunter guys trying to kill the remaining aliens that are left in Africa or wherever it was that we are at the beginning of the movie. That's all kind of interesting. It should have been the movie, maybe. It would have been cool if it was more just like Earth-based aftermath stuff. I mean, it's all Earth-based, but just, aftermath stuff as opposed to the aliens come again, because that's where it is the same movie again, where it's got to be a disaster movie again. It's got to be it's Independence Day, so it's got to be the aliens come from the sky and attack us again. But wouldn't it be interesting if we just cut out that second movie and we made it either, because this still could have been the first of two potentially interesting sequels, where either that second movie is let's let's deal with the aftermath of, maybe it's not set a whole 20 years later. Let's deal with the aftermath of the aliens, and there are still, some left on the planet, and how do we rebuild and develop technology, and how does humanity come together? And then maybe the third movie is we rush out into space to go get them because we know that they're coming, and we're not going to wait for them to get to us. We're going to go to them in the first place. Or just make that the second movie in the first place. We go to them,
Yeah.
Independence Day 2, we go to them. That shouldn't be the title, but that should be the premise. That should be what it is.
Yeah.
So all of that I like, and then it loses me midway through when it's just, generic. The aliens show up, landmarks again. And the aliens seem to be kind of retcon, where now they're a hive with a queen. It's pretty clearly not that in the first place.
Yeah. It's not good.
What'd you think of Goldblum in that second movie, though?
He's pretty good. I mean, he's pretty good in the first movie too. Can we talk about a good movie now?
Sure, absolutely.
Um,
Well, the movie's called Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks. So I'm not too sure.
1996.
Yeah. So the aliens in Mars Attacks hold up surprisingly well.
Oh yeah.
I think they look pretty good.
Before we get to all of that stuff, though, why don't you just because I think it'll be amusing, once again, give us a synopsis of Mars Attacks, and maybe parallel it with Independence Day, and talk a little bit about the similarities and differences, maybe.
Okay.
Can we do that? Can we start there?
Well, they're
Just
both,
get everybody in the mood to talk about Mars
they're both
Attacks.
about aliens, and do the aliens blow up the White House in Mars Attacks?
They blow up Congress.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. I wrote that down.
I'm pretty sure they do, because at the end, you've got the president in the war room, but he's not in the White House anymore. I don't think they're in the White House at that point. I think they've evacuated, right? Or is it in the? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah,
We're doing a whole Doctor Strangelove thing at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
Because of course we are.
Yeah. But basically, they're both alien movies, and they both have presidents in them, and
they both have kind of ineffectual presidents, at least initially.
Yeah. And one is boring, and one is fun, and one is not that funny, and one is super funny.
Well, one of these is, to be fair, is a straight up comedy, and the other one is not.
Yeah. But basically, there's these aliens, and they come, and then they're like, we come in peace, but then they start killing everyone, and that's basically the synopsis.
And that's the joke, and it's a running gag, and it's a one-note gag, and it never gets dull. It's always funny.
Yeah, it's always funny. And there's this
all the way through.
And there's this girl who wants the aliens to be like peaceful, and
oh, the kind of hippie-ish girl, yeah.
Yeah, and then she's like, when the aliens start killing everyone, and I was like, ah! And anyway,
there's some really fun social satire in that movie about kind of apathetic government and naive government and that kind of thing, because of course it's laudable that in the first place you wouldn't immediately just start shooting. That was the mistake with Resurgence, of course. You remember that? There's this ship that seems that has come from somewhere else. We don't know what it is. Let's just blow it out of the sky. And it turns out, of course, it's the ally aliens come to help us, or an AI species that there's only one left of. That whole thing was a little convoluted, but kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, we actually don't do that here, but we go too far with the opposite extreme. Like, no matter how much the aliens try to kill us, Jack Nicholson's president, he's brilliant in this movie. We've still got 2 out of 3 branches of the government left in. That ain't bad. He constantly thinks there's still a way to make peace with the aliens, when they pretty clearly, from the beginning, or almost from the beginning, because I get it after the second time, or the first time, but after the second time, all bets should have been off, right? Because when they let out the dove and the Martians kill blow up the dove and then kill everybody there, that's maybe a misunderstanding. You know, our peace offering on their planet could be a declaration of war. But after that, it becomes pretty clear that they just keep setting up ruses. They're going to pretend like they're our friends, and then they're going to murder us.
Yeah. And Mars Attacks Martians are funny. Yeah, and like the way they talk and stuff, and it's kind of funny. And they're like, they're funny. I don't have anything else to say.
Well, I think the movie does a really good job of adapting comics, and I don't know if you know this, but Mars Attacks started as just a series of of trading cards in I think the 50s. It's owned by Topps, and then they've had comics and things, and this was the first place, I'm sure, to like give them an actual voice and show them moving and stuff. And I think it does a really good job of staying to the spirit of the real, hokey, kind of over the top idea of Mars Attacks in the first place. And it keeps it light and fun, but also extremely violent, which is what Mars Attacks was, and is surprisingly not watered down. I mean, I think with what little I understand about Mars Attacks, it's kind of the perfect way to adapt that. It's really faithful to the spirit of what that whole thing was, I think.
Yeah. Again,
from my limited experience. It's not like The Mask, where it waters it down but changes it for the masses in a really intelligent way, where that ended up being a really smart thing to do. This kind of makes it a little bit more accessible to a mass audience, but it keeps it more or less what it was. It is still a kind of B horror thing, and but it's much more but it, well, I don't know, what was I going to say? It's really farcical in the first place.
Yeah.
I hesitated because I'm like, was Mars Attacks originally a farce? I guess kind of. This makes it more like parody territory, but I think it really works for the material.
Yeah. And I didn't really like the whole love thing in the spaceship.
Yeah.
Where their heads were cut off and one was like a dog. And I don't really like those characters.
That's one of the many things in that movie that's thrown in just to be weird and make you kind of cringe and go, for a minute.
Yeah.
And there's not quite enough done with it, maybe, because there's some characters that are surprisingly well developed. I don't mean that there's anybody that's super compelling, like ultra three-dimensional, but there are, I think that the best characters in this movie are a lot more drawn and likable and sympathetic than the most well-drawn characters in the Independence Day movies.
Yeah.
And it's a farce in the first place.
Yeah. And there's also a pretty good cast in this movie.
Yeah.
As well.
Even a more all-star cast than you had in Independence Day, because most of these actors were already huge. But like I said earlier, because I thought I was talking about Independence Day, but I wasn't. There are a couple of people like Jack Black who aren't known yet, but will be later.
Yeah, Jack Black, Michael J. Fox was already a big actor, but
well, of course, yeah. And this was right around the time, sadly, where he was going to have to stop acting.
And, of course, there's a whole thing with Tom Jones.
You like that whole bit?
Yeah. The Martians dancing in that scene is hilarious. Also, Tom Jones can fly an airplane? Like, what?
It is so absurd, and I love it. He's like, I can fly an airplane.
Yeah.
Why? No explanation.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have a throwaway line about getting his pilot's license, or I flew in Nam or something. Nothing. He's just, I can fly a plane.
How does, that doesn't make any sense.
Look, it's just not unusual for a famous singer to fly an airplane. No, it is. It absolutely is. And what's hilarious about this too, just with us, is that was not Jason's first exposure to Tom Jones.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it was when I first.
Yeah, but I'm saying this movie. Oh, okay.
When I went
The
back.
first time you saw it.
When I went back, I actually didn't even, because I didn't know who Tom Jones was earlier, so I didn't realize that Tom Jones was in
the other thing. But let's
Yeah.
before you mention it. So we're gonna play 3 Degrees of Separation of Will Smith. Go ahead.
So Tom Jones was in an episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
It was a dream sequence
It was
with
a
Carlton,
dream sequence.
who's obsessed with Tom Jones.
Yeah.
And he also sang "It's Not Unusual" in that.
Yeah.
He sang the same song.
The same song.
That's his big
and
song.
They covered it, not covered it, but they did a parody of that song, and they brought Tom Jones in to do it, and it's really funny.
Oh, that's right. They wrote different lyrics
Yeah,
because it was
they
just
wrote
all about
different
Carlton.
lyrics, yeah. And at the beginning of the episode, he's just doing the Carlton to that song, and he puts the radio on, and he's like, "It's not unusual," and it's really funny. And then.
But the 3 Degrees of Separation, obviously, are this feels like a parody of Independence Day, even though it isn't really. And we're talking about Independence Day today, and Will Smith, of course, is in Independence Day. So hilariously, this is all sort of related.
Yeah.
Not really, but sort of.
Sort of.
Isn't that great?
And Men in Black is about aliens.
Right.
So,
It's a conspiracy.
conspiracy.
It's all just a giant conspiracy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The grandma is hilarious. And, she is...
And yodeling blows up the Martians' heads.
Yeah, and, that's... Yeah.
Is that great?
And, yeah, it's great.
Is that just great?
It's great. And there's actually something that is similar to that, which I will talk about in a minute. But
yeah, real quick, that is. Have you thought about this?
Yeah.
That is for this movie, the virus in Independence Day.
yeah,
Like this movie is Independence Day.
yeah, and
Straight up.
she was in Beetlejuice.
She was in
Yeah.
Beetlejuice. Yeah,
She
which
was
we've
that
reviewed on the show.
creepy, woman in Beetlejuice.
Yeah, she's the lady behind the desk, right?
Yep.
That facilitates your getting your afterlife and gives you the rules for the afterlife, right?
Yep.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
And this would have been what, 6 years after that?
Yeah.
Yeah. 7 years after that? That was 89? No, that was 87.
87. Yeah. 87.
Somewhere in there.
No,
But-
88.
Oh, but I guess we shouldn't be that surprised because I'm sure Tim Burton brought her back because he liked her when he worked with her in that. I mean, this is
Yeah.
a Tim Burton movie, and we should talk about the Tim Burton of this because this is I think one of his better movies.
Yeah.
I wish he had made more of this kind of thing. Tim Burton could have been the Mel Brooks of science fiction parodies if he had made more stuff like this. Because he really knew what to do with this. Like, his weird sensibilities really fit a piece like this, because it's not weird for the sake of weird. It's a farce. It's a parody. It's already earning that.
Yeah.
And it's weirdly straightforward for a Tim Burton movie being as farcical as it is. Like, there's nothing that's hard to follow with this. It's a very simple, again, straightforward story.
Yeah.
And he's having a ridiculous amount of fun making it. There's nothing remotely pretentious about this movie.
Yeah.
Like, he's better at comedy, you know? I mean, and he's better at, like, I don't know, morbid comedy. Because you have Beetlejuice and then this.
Yeah.
Like, just have a thing that's about death and is, like, really over the top and violent, but then also really tongue-in-cheek and fun. And you've got a solid Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
He should have made more of these.
Yeah.
Things like this. I didn't need Mars Attacks 4, but more of this kind of thing.
Yeah. The ending of Mars Attacks is actually similar to the ending of Godzilla vs. Monster Zero.
Yes.
In
Talk about that.
They produce a sound on the radio that the aliens don't like. In Monster Zero, it's just it's just a sound that no one likes. In this, it's yodeling, and I don't think they were thinking of that movie when they did this, but
it might have been, because
I
don't know what Tim Burton's interests are as far as that goes. He might be into the Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, you told me about that last week, and I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't know that.
Yeah. Should we do favorite lines?
Do it.
Know anyone who can fly a plane? Yeah, your brother Art. No, he's dead.
And it was because of the line delivery.
Yeah.
No, he's dead.
I knew this was gonna happen sometime or rather.
Danny DeVito is great in this movie.
Yeah.
And did you think about that too? You've got Penguin and Joker in this movie.
I did
Tim Burton
think
movies.
of that.
Yeah. So he's bringing in people from all of his stuff.
Yeah. They blew up Congress.
And then she just cracks up.
And then she just
That's the old lady from Beetlejuice
Yeah.
again. They blew up Congress!
And then, I know you love this. What is he talking about?
Wait, what?
When he's, so,
I'm vaguely remembering this. Go ahead.
So basically, oh man. What's his face? The Joker guy.
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson.
Oh,
Thank
I
you.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This part's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jack Nicholson plays 2 roles in this movie.
Yeah.
And he's playing like a Texas tycoon guy who's in Vegas. At the same time, he's also playing the president.
Yeah.
And Nicholson does not phone in either of those parts in this.
Yeah.
He gives it everything, and he's so good.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite moments in anything is when his president dies and the Martian flag pops out of his chest.
Yeah.
It's the best. But anyway, yeah, set up that scene because it's so good.
So, basically, his other character that's not the president is watching on TV, his other character, which is the president.
They never were in a scene together. This is the closest we get to that.
Yeah. And the president is, like, talking about aliens and stuff, and Jack Nicholson just goes, what is he talking about?
What is he talking about?
And it's hysterical.
That movie never gets old. I've probably seen that 7 or 8 times.
I've seen it 3 times.
I want to do a commentary on that at some point.
Yes. Let's do it.
Most assuredly. Yeah, and we should have you on that one.
Yeah.
What else did you want to talk about with Mars Attacks? Any other actors or any other particular sequences or just visual stuff, ideas? How did you feel about the Martian that pretends to be the chew gumming or the gum chewing, pardon me, airhead chick who comes into the White House?
I always liked that. I don't really like
Into the president building?
where he tries to get the gum out and then he bites his finger off. I don't like that.
Yeah. I'm glad that kind of comedy is not in too much of that movie because that's that kind of B horror, like Sam Raimi type stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad there's some of it because, like, you gotta have some of it. But
yeah, but like I don't know, dismemberment humor
Yeah.
isn't like especially funny to me. There's a lot of animals, like walking over and licking or biting, like body parts or dead bodies in this movie. Happens with a dog. Happens with fish.
Yeah.
When that finger comes off, there's a fish that comes down to the fish tank and starts biting off, going after the finger, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Should we do favorite characters?
These are the kinds of things that you have children for, just to get to talk to them about.
Yeah. So,
Who are your favorite characters?
So in Independence Day.
Oh, through all 3 movies, sure.
Well, in Independence Day
Mhm.
and Independence Day Resurgence,
It's
my
Jeff Goldblum.
favorite characters are David Levinson.
There we go. Okay.
And
I presume.
Dr. Oaken.
Oh, of course. But maybe not as much in Resurgence. Or did you like him there too?
No, he was okay in Resurgence. Okay. And then my favorite character, and I didn't have a least favorite character from Independence Day.
You can't even remember them.
Yeah. No, but they're all just planks of bricks.
You mean wood, right? They're all planks of bricks.
I mean,
they're all bricks of wood.
They're all a pile of bricks. They're all bricks, and
you pile of bricks.
They're all bricks, and
I like how you just landed on. You know what? I'm not even going to try to make this a more complicated metaphor. The bricks. Pile of bricks, plank of brick. Yeah, bricks. Walk the plank of bricks.
So they're basically bricks. So
is the president building a brick house?
They're not like.
I'm good now.
There's nothing that is bad, and there's no one that's good.
Yeah, there's just nothing
like,
there. Right.
Yeah.
Who's your least favorite character in Resurgence then?
No one.
Oh, nobody irritated you in that either?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Everyone was just planks of bricks.
Planks of bricks, right? And then what was your favorite character in Independence Day, the parody?
What do you think? My 3 favorite characters.
Ooh, both characters played by Jack Nicholson. No, just the president.
Yes.
Okay, so the president, and then Tom Jones.
Yes.
Awesome. After that, it's hard to say. Obviously, not Pierce Brosnan's character. Maybe Danny DeVito's character. No. Maybe. And one thing that we didn't talk about that's fun with that movie, can I say this real quick?
Yeah.
Is I enjoy all of the really major actors that are introduced to the beginning, like they're going to become part of the big ensemble cast, but they're killed quickly, so they turn out to be cameos. But you don't realize it. Like Michael J. Fox is that way.
Yeah.
He's introduced, you think he's going to be, like, he's the boyfriend of the girl that's going to kindle a romance with Pierce Brosnan when they're just heads stuck on dog parts and things. But he'll end up not being a character through most of the movie. He gets killed off right away. I guess I'm not sure who the third character is.
Grandma.
Oh, the grand, right? Yeah. As soon as I said that, I actually realized what it was because you talk about her a lot. She's very funny.
You might not even remember its name, but
least favorite.
What do you think is my least favorite character?
I guess I don't know.
Natalie Lake.
Oh yeah, okay. So the girl with
annoying.
Brosnan. Yeah,
she's
sure.
annoying.
I mean, that's the point of her character.
But
that's always a risk that you run, where it's like, this character's supposed to be annoying. Yeah, but the problem is, she's annoying, and I have to deal with her, yeah.
I totally forgot about another favorite character.
I don't mind that character too much. She's not on screen
Day.
constantly, but... Oh, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
So, my other favorite character is Julius Levinson.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe his dad.
Yes.
I didn't like his subplot in the sequel, though. Real padded out. The thing with the bus...
Yeah.
You know, he's gotta go like help out those kids and get on the bus and then drive all the way to David and like yeah, I didn't like any of that stuff.
Yeah, it's boring.
That guy aged really well though. 20 years, he does not look that much older to me.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing an older gentleman in Independence Day in 1996 already. Guy's got to be in his 70s at least.
Yeah.
I haven't looked up his age. I don't know how old he is now, but. Well, we're at about an hour. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about with those movies? Wasn't sure if we'd get a full hour out of this.
Yeah.
I kept derailing us, though. So, like I said, I had to pad it out. I had to make sure that this felt like an Independence Day experience. But we didn't blow up anything, though.
Well, I'm done.
He wants to move on and never think about these again. Besides Mars Attacks.
Oh, we do have something to blow up.
Oh, we do? Yeah. I'm excited. What are we going to blow up?
We're going to blow up the camera.
How do we do that?
By turning the video off.
We won't blow it up. It'll just go to...
Well,
do I have to put in a special effect now?
No, we could... No,
really?
We don't.
You're going to make me go through all the work of going in and putting in an effect?
No, all I have to do is go... and then it explodes.
Okay, so but you're not gonna do that until after we've said the ending thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, everybody, thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you again next time, and we might be doing some more movies. I'm not sure what we're doing next time.
Okay.
But we'll see you again soon. I was
Yeah.
Captain Logan.
I was Jason.
And we were father.
And son.
Okay, do the thing. Can you make it like a slightly bigger explosion? They sure like to get the landmarks.